What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Surviving with EnderIO, and today we're going to be discussing all the different armor and tools offered by EnderIO, and then along with that we're going to go over all the different upgrades that can be applied to each one of those. Now the first thing that I want to point out is that this armor can be made relatively early on in the game, and it's about as effective as iron with the durability of diamond and the enchantability of leather. So it's a pretty decent set of gear for the amount that you're investing, but it also has a very high cap when you start adding the upgrades, which makes it great for transitioning from the early to mid game all the way to late game, where it could be your final set of gear in modded Minecraft. So I think that's one of the best parts about this, because you shouldn't feel bad about making it early on and then slowly upgrading it to later on, as there are a lot of upgrades, as I said before. So getting into this, right out the gate you should probably notice that there's a lot of dark steel in this chest right now, and that's because all of the different armor and tools are made out of dark steel, which is great because if we look at the recipe for dark steel, it's actually relatively cheap. It might be a little bit annoying to get because you have to get a ton of obsidian, but eventually that'll be easier early on, and you can simplify this a little bit by making the tools in a certain order that I'll cover in a minute. But other than that, it's just a piece of iron and a piece of coal powder, so really not that expensive to make, and so it's pretty nice for mid-game because you should have all of that stuff already. So as you probably already know, a full set of armor takes 24 of whatever ingot you're going to be using. So we've got 24 dark steel ingots right here, and then we've got another 8 dark steel ingots over here. This is going to be used for the glider upgrade for the chest. Then we've got over here 6 dark steel ingots. There's going to be 3 of these used for the pick, and then 3 of them used for the axe. And if you wanted to make a sword, I already have the sword made, but that would be another 2 dark steel ingots. And then lastly, where majority of the dark steel would go, but I really want to stress that this is not mandatory, this is the dark steel anvil recipe. So it's pretty much like a regular anvil recipe, but it uses dark steel instead. So 3 dark steel blocks, a very hefty sum of dark steel, and then 4 dark steel ingots. The nice thing about this, and I'll cover this really quickly right now, is that it has much more durability than a regular anvil, and it is blast resistant. So those are really the only benefits to making this, so you really don't need to. But I think it looks a little bit nicer, and if you've got the dark steel to invest, you might as well. So now that we've gone through all the dark steel, all the stuff down here are for different upgrades that we will be adding on later. So I'm not going to cover those just yet, but as you can see, there's a fair bit of stuff down here in terms of capacitors, vibrant crystals, we even got some potions. So it does get a little bit expensive, as I said, and stuff that can't be put in this chest right here that we're going to be adding on is experience, and that's because all of these upgrades, you don't just need the items, you need some experience levels. It's not a ton that you need, but I don't even know if we'll have enough to put all of them on today. I will do my best. As you can see, I've got an experience obelisk over here. This is basically just an obelisk that you can store your XP in. Not really going to cover much about it. It's a very simple thing. You just craft it, right click, and then you can store a level, 10 levels, or all of it, and you can take out all, 10, or 1. So I've got a lot of experience in here. 44 might not seem like much, but if we were to put all my experience in there, it only goes up to 48. So a lot of experience in here. I got it mostly from clearing out the endermen in here, which have already built up again. As you can see, everything is full in here. I'm gonna have to start emptying this out somewhere, but that's where I got the XP. I don't know if I'll have enough for today. It does cost a lot to upgrade these, but that is the last and probably the most expensive part of fully upgrading this gear. So first things first, we should probably make the gear, because the gear actually works on its own. So we'll go through, we'll make all the different pieces. They don't look super fancy, but that's perfectly fine. So there we go. And lastly, we'll make the chest plate, and there we go. So right at the gate, these will offer pretty much the same protection as iron. So that's what I have on right now. So you can see that if we take this off, they should be offering pretty much the same. They do offer armor toughness over the chest right now, but everything else should be pretty much the same that we are getting. And so we can put them on, and there we go. We look actually pretty cool, but they offer, like I said, same durability or slightly better than diamond, and the enchantability of leather. But we're not going to worry about that now. We're only going to be discussing upgrades really. So there we go. Works perfectly fine on its own. It will lose durability, and it can be repaired using dark steel in an anvil. That's what I have right here. So I'll show you guys how it can be repaired very easily. Any of the tools can be repaired like this, because they will eventually need to be repaired. So you can just put that in there, and then of course it would be repaired. I'll grab out some experience from here just so that we can do that. So grab out all of our levels. We can put this in here, and then there we go. So it's fully repaired. Obviously that was kind of a waste, but I've already repaired this a little bit before, so just wanted to show you guys how that would work. It works like that for all the tools that you could have, whether they're upgraded or not, because eventually you will need to repair them even once you've upgraded them. So what we can do now is start getting into upgrading all the different pieces of gear that we have. Now, first things first, all of the gear can be upgraded to store power, and you're going to want to do that first because that will allow you to start taking durability and power at the same time, thus decreasing the actual durability loss. So we're going to be taking out vibrant crystals, which will get us the first tier of empowered. Then we'll be taking out a basic capacitor, which will get us the second tier of empowered. Then we get double layer and octatic, which will get us the third and fourth. So we can come over here, we can take off the gear, go to the anvil. Now, like I said, you can use a dark steel or a regular one, it does not matter. But if we put in the vibrant crystal, you can see it costs 4 levels. It costs a lot of levels to upgrade this. But if we do this, you can see that it's now empowered. And what this does is it says that it has 100,000 RF storage, 50% of damage absorbed by the power. Now, a nice thing that you can see right here too is that it also lists all the possible subsequent anvil upgrades. So then we can do empowered 2, you can do sound locator, night vision, and solar 1. And it lists the levels and the block that needs to go with it. So it actually simplifies it a lot. You don't need to go to the wiki, and honestly, you probably don't even need to go to this video, but for any people having trouble with it, I thought I would make the video. If we look over here, you can see that we've got the empowered, the sound locator, and the night vision. So over here, you do get solar 1, and the reason that it's different, and this is a very crucial thing to cover, is that pretty much the upgrades are a tiered system. So for this one, yes, you can add everything except solar 1, without having empowered on it, but you can't add empowered 2 without having empowered 1, and you can't add solar 1 without having empowered 1. So I guess it kind of makes sense because it kind of forces you to slowly upgrade it rather than being able to leapfrog all the way from nothing to tier 4 empowered. So that's pretty nice. It makes it a little bit more forgiving in terms of slowly upgrading it from mid to early game all the way to late game. And I think that's a pretty good way of doing it, but it's just something to keep in mind if you're trying to put an upgrade on it. There might be a kind of subsequent thing that you need to add to it before you can do that. So we'll put this on, and now we can store power in here. Then what we're going to do is the second most important of the upgrades, which is going to be the photovoltaic cells, because then during daytime, our armor will start getting RF going into it just passively from walking around. So we can put the helmet in there, and we can start out with a regular photovoltaic cell. Now, if I were to try to put the advanced in, it would not work yet. So we'll put that in, and we will upgrade it, and it appears that our anvil broke, unfortunately, which gives us a great opportunity to make the dark steel anvil right over here, and you guys can get a little look at it and see how things look. So we'll put it down right here, very, very sleek, but there we go. So now we've got solar 1, and if we look, we can now add solar 2 to this. So I'll put that on there, and it costs 8 levels. I actually might not put that on today. I'll use that as an example for you guys, but I want to get through and do some other upgrades, so I think we'll call it there for that. I'm not going to add any more of the empowered upgrades. I'll probably put that on a different piece of gear, but you can see now we've got the nice solar panel on our head, or the photovoltaic cell, I should say, and we should be good to go with that. Now, I will put the rest of my gear in here just to open up my inventory a little bit, and we can move on to upgrading the chest plate, and that is what this dark steel and leather is for, because we are going to be making the glider. Now, to make this, the recipe is going to be the 3 dark steel and 3 leather to get a glider wing. Then we're going to do that again. I don't know why I didn't just do them at the same time, but then we do those 2 glider wings, and we put dark steel in the center. Oh my gosh, was I supposed to make them? Tell me I wasn't supposed to make them. Okay, there we go. So we got the glider wings there. If you can hold shift, it's an upgrade for the dark steel chest plate. So there we go. Now the nice thing about this is it should not require any upgrades. So you can see if we hold this down, you can do empowered, of course vibrant crystal in 4 levels, glider, or I believe it's pronounced elytra, which is kind of a new way of flying. Keep in mind, you cannot have the glider and elytra at the same time. Sorry if you're cringing because I'm pronouncing it wrong. I've never actually messed around with it, but you have to add one or the other or neither. You cannot have both, which should make sense to you considering they both serve relatively similar purposes. So there we go. We can add the glider on, and then we can add a vibrant crystal on, and boom, now we have the dark plate with empowered and glider, so it can start getting charged. So we can throw that on there. Now looks pretty darn cool. Again, not really any visual changes to that. There might be on the back from the glider. But next thing we can do is move on to the boots and the pants. So we'll start with the pants, and that's what the potions of swiftness are for. So if we come over here, we can do this, and you can see that empowered is the first one. So we have to put that on there. Then if we go back up here, you can now add speed, which is a potion of swiftness. So what this should do is increase both our walk and run speed. So just increases movement speed. You can add swiftness 2 for 6 levels, and then there's swiftness 3, which again is going to be, I believe, 8 levels, and another potion of swiftness. So relatively cheap. You just brew one batch of swiftness potions, no upgrades to them in any way, just regular swiftness, and then you can put them on there, and everything should be good to go. And then lastly, we will do the boots, which can have on them flippers, which are the lily pads, and those require no upgrade. These should increase your swim speed by 10%, I believe. So we can throw the lily pads on there, and that's 4. So you can see there. It doesn't really have a description, but that is the swim speed increase. Then if we wanted to put on a piston, which should be for jump increase, I believe we need the vibrant crystal on there. And there you can see the next one is going to be a piston. Now we have the ability to add this, which is going to be jump increase, so it's increasing step and jump height. And we could add another 2 pistons to go to jump 2 and jump 3. To jump 2 adds double jump, and jump 3 adds triple jump. Pretty awesome stuff, but unfortunately we don't have the levels to do that right now. As you can see, I came in here with 48 levels. That's a fair bit of experience, and it still did not, or was not enough to actually get us all the way to fully upgrading this. So it does have a very high threshold in terms of fully upgrading it. And now we can go over and start making some of the tools. There are miscellaneous upgrades that I didn't really get to cover today. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff that still needs to put in here. I did not go to tier 2, 3, or 4 on any of the gear. But we could do a note block on the helmet. We could do a potion of night vision on the helmet. And I guess since it's nighttime out, we might as well give that a shot. Let's try this. One more enchant on this. So we got night vision, and I think we should be able to throw it in over here and just charge it up real quick. Yep, so we're charging it up over here. And let's give this a nice little test. We can just shift click, I guess, them all in from over here. Let them charge up. And there we go. Awesome. So we've got all this over here. And now we should be able to move a little bit faster. We should run a little bit faster, as you can probably tell. We've got step up on this. And if we were to hit, I think it's P, we have night vision now. So it should be, I assume, using up some power from this. Oh, I guess it's not. It only required it to be empowered. That's pretty cool. So now we have night vision, which is great. Things don't really spawn around here. So pretty much I can just make it daytime whenever with the night vision, which is awesome. Something I do need to keep in mind, though, is we have solar power coming from pretty much everywhere. And we're probably going to run into an issue over here because I don't even know if this will be able to get power now to chop down the trees. So that's a little bit of an issue. But what I will do is I will sleep, and we might be able to see if we can take a little bit of damage, how our armor is going to kind of charge itself. So I think this is all probably fully charged right now. Okay, so the dark leggings are not fully charged, so we should be able to go outside and see them actually charging up. The highest is going to be when it's at noon, but if we were to go over these, you can see they're very slowly charging up. Not fast, but very, very slowly. So eventually when we upgrade to the advanced photovoltaic cell, it will be a little bit faster, but it is just a nice little upgrade to have on there. And I guess it looks kind of silly, but you could also think it looks kind of cool. So if we were to hit F5, we can see this, but it looks like it's a little bit of a bug. If you look at my hand right now, it's does not have like any, you can still see it. So like if we hit F5 here, the hand is fully covered, but here we can see my hand perfectly with the regular vanilla skin. Interesting. Just a little side note. So now we can go through and start making the tools. We can make both an axe and a pick. So we'll start out with the axe, and then we will go to the pick. So the nice thing that I was going to say earlier is if you make the pick first, it simplifies the whole process. And the reason is the dark pick gets a bonus when you are mining obsidian, and I believe it can take 10,000 RF. and speed up the process of mining an obsidian block, so it makes it very, very easy to do. So what we can do here is I'm going to charge the axe, and the reason I'm going to do this is because now, if you look here, it's just a regular axe. But if you look over here, you can get 2.0 efficiency when powered, so it increases in the just regular rate of use, and then it gets sneak to harvest multiple logs. So pretty darn awesome. So if we were to take this, we can go in here and charge it up a little bit. And I want to see how much power it actually uses when you sneak to chop down all the logs. But we now have this ready to go. And if we come out here, hold sneak, I believe the logs cap out at 50, but if we chop this down, all of the logs come down along with it. And it used up a fair bit of that power. If you saw, we almost just used up the entire power for the axe. So unfortunately, it looks like I need to go and break a little bit more up here so that this can start running again. I believe that should start getting power, right? Eventually, this should start getting power again. I'm going to break some of these so that it hopefully does. Can we get up there? Oh, that's not high enough with the jump. This should be getting power right here. So hopefully this will start running again and chop down some of those trees so I don't have to. But now you can see how pretty much all the tools work. The dark pick upgrade is going to allow it to mine obsidian better. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit out of experience right now. And as you can see, if we put everything back in here used for upgrades, that there's still a fair bit that we need to add to this. So that's a lot of experience levels. If you're curious what the note block is, because I think that's the only one that hasn't been covered, that allows you to detect where sound is coming from. I believe the hotkey default is I. You press it and it's an upgrade for the helmet, and it allows you to see what's going on around you. But other than that, guys, I think that's going to be it for today. Hopefully it wasn't too boring of an episode going over all the upgrades, but I know a lot of people get confused with how the EnderIO upgrades work, especially with the tiered system. They wonder why they can't add the specific upgrades they want right at the beginning, or what the upgrades might do. So there are all the upgrades. It's a very, very awesome set of gear. Once you eventually get it to late game, the amount of upgrades on it goes up exponentially. The amount of power it can store goes up. Really just the usefulness altogether goes up. And once it's upgraded with the Vibrant Crystal, it pretty much becomes the same protection level as Diamond Armor. So it's better than what you're going to get in Vanilla if you're using it. And as long as the items are charged, you can get up to 85% of the damage taken as power once you get to tier 4. So it is very, very useful to do. But again, guys, that's going to be it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you found it entertaining or informative in any way, please feel free to give it a like, as it does help me out a lot. And I will talk to you guys later.